How's it going, everyone? The 1MFP here. I hope you're all doing great today. The music video to Paladin Strait is finally here, and I am so excited to get into it. Much like any 21 Pilots fan, my question going into this is whether or not this is the end of the story. Does this music video really conclude it all? If you've seen my Clancy album reaction, and side note, if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Links down below. If you did see that video, you'll know that listening to that album front to back, it did feel to me like that sequence starting from Snapback and ending with Paladin Strait. To me, it felt like the conclusion to the story. I guess more specifically to me, it felt like going into this album, a lot of attention was put on the idea of breaking the cycle. With Snapback, it felt like Clancy had a decision to make. Is he going to be running away, or is he going to be heading to Dima to confront the bishops and confront Nico? With Paladin Strait, we do see what the decision is, right? He does head to Dima and he does go and confront Nico. And that in of itself is him being aligned with his purpose. If you go back to a song like Morph off of Trench, what are we here for if not to run straight through all our tormentors? So that was definitely one of the important details that made it feel to me like that was a conclusion to the story. But I guess the more pressing matter was, in what way does this prove that this is the end of the cycle? To me, the answer to that question is actually found in Oldie Station. I don't feel like you're actually trying to break the cycle. The cycle has been synonymous with different things, and I think one of the most important ones was the cycle of the day. They used the cycle of a day as a metaphor for the cycle of the struggle. That goes way back to Ode to Sleep, right? And you don't want that cycle to end. You don't want your days to end. You want to keep on pushing through, or else that goes completely against the message of a plethora of other songs. So I think what Oldie Station did a great job at is telling us that we need to reframe what the cycle actually is. I think throughout the album we saw different takes on the cycle and what being stuck in it can look like, and the first songs that come to mind when I think of that are Navigating and Routines in the Night. There it felt like the cycle he was stuck in was a cycle of rumination, and that cycle is one that needs to be broken. But the main cycle, which is represented by, the 24-hour cycle, is not one that's meant to be broken. It's one that's meant to be reframed. Instead of thinking of the day as something that needs to end so you can move on to the next one, you have to think of the day as something that you will use to progress. Every day that you apply yourself, you're giving yourself the opportunity to learn and to grow and to develop yourself. And if you focus on it, you may not actually notice the growth, but if enough time passes and you look back on the past and who you were at that point in time, then it starts becoming clearer that you've actually evolved from what you were. With Oldie Station, he used a song that he liked when he was younger being played on the Oldie Station in the present day as an indicator of that time that's passed, and he's also used it as a symbol of how much he's grown since then. So in other words, the way I see it, the cycle is something that you're meant to reframe in your mind and perceive as a spiral that you're trying to travel in an upward direction. You're trying to deviate a little bit from the perfect circle and turn it into something a little bit different, where you're actually distancing yourself from the original path. And along these new paths, you're definitely still going to be encountering the nighttime, and you're still going to be encountering the negative thoughts. The point is you have to push on through despite all that, and the more you do so, the higher you get on this upward trajectory. So that kind of summarizes how I saw the end of Clancy, as the end of the story. And as far as the cliffhanger at the end of the album goes, that to me didn't really mean anything bad, right? As I just said, you're gonna be encountering the negative thoughts. You're still gonna find yourself in the nighttime. Like, this is all part of life. It's all part of the journey. So Nico responding to Clancy's call out wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just another obstacle for Clancy, and yes, he might be defeated in that battle, but he's resilient. He's going to come back and he's going to push on through once more. This battle to me isn't one where Clancy is supposed to end Nico, right? This is just a battle to show who's in control. And if it so happens that Clancy loses that battle, his objective is just to find himself right back in that position to gain control once more. So that took a bit longer than I expected. I apologize for that. But yeah, that was my take on the album. Then I reacted to a couple of music videos, Navigating meditating and routines in the night, and following that I watched the live stream. And before playing the Paladin Strait placeholder video, Tyler says, or asks rather, does this feel like the end? That made it sound like it wasn't truly the end, but on the other hand, I did kind of feel like it just implied that the music video might be a longer one, kind of like The Outside, which is somewhat what I thought it would be when I heard the album. But now that the music video is here, I see that it is only 5 minutes and 23 seconds long, whereas the song on the album is a little over 6 minutes long. So I don't know if this is actually the end. I'm guessing if you remove that moment of silence or the moment of nature noises, it might actually be 5.5 minutes long. I'm not quite sure. But either way, I was expecting this to be at least 8 minutes long. So the fact that it is not makes me think that it will end on a cliffhanger. But I could be wrong. So without further ado, let's get right into this music video. I'm ready. I've got my red hat on in support of Clancy. I've also got Trash with me. Can you see that? He's really tiny. But yeah, I'm ready. Let's jump right into this. Alright, so the opening shot here already has me curious. We have a shot of the antlers on the ground, and I was curious about the antlers after having watched the navigating music video. I was like, okay, he's carried these antlers around, and I get it. I get the power of them. I understand its significance in that respect. He's used them twice so far within the visual representation of the story. He used it in The Outside to control the bishop, to basically taunt the other bishops and knock down one of the neon tubes. And then the second instance of him using it was to control that kid within Dima, to spread his influence, to have people join him on his rebellion and I guess confront the bishops. So those two uses made a lot of sense, but now we're at the point where he's probably going to be nearing Dima and probably going to be nearing, Nico. So what use does he have for the antlers at this point in time? Is there someone or something he can call on for help to help him in his battle with Nico? Let's find out. I can't believe I'm watching this. Super hyped. Oh, there's the placeholder video. Beautiful scenery.
I've mapped 1,000 times, making my way towards you.
It's a beautiful shot.
I would swim the Paladin Strait without any flotation.
Oh, there's the torchbearer, the trench torchbearer.
You on the other shoreline, waiting, expectations.
What's in that?
That I'm gonna make it. Standing on the shore, staring down a hurtling storm, endless row of angry waves, making its
Rallying the banditos.
I would swim the Paladin Strait without any flotation, just a glimpse of visual aid of you.
Birds.
On the other shoreline,
Vultures. They're being seized. Hold on. I gotta pause. Gotta take this in for a moment. So the bishops are watching the banditos from a distance through the vultures. I guess this was foreshadowed in No Chances. We see when you arrive, surveillance is outside. The bishops know that the banditos are coming. Let's see what happens.
Gonna make it.
Oh, they're there. Oh, this is epic. Whoa.
Here's my chance, let me take it. Can't be sure that I'll
Whoa, what? They're summoning zombies?
I'm all in, I'm surrounded. Put my money where my mouth is, even though I passed the point of no return.
Oh, no hesitation.
Here's my chance,
Gotta love it.
undertaking.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. They have the neon tubes as weapons. That's a really cool detail because those neon tubes are basically the bishop's alternative to the fire and the torches that the banditos have, and to have both of them kind of be wielding that going into battle, really cool detail. Oh, he's getting ready to see someone. Where is he running to? Oh, he's heading to the top of the tower. Oh, is he just gonna climb it? This is like him climbing at one of the festivals. He's getting ready to see someone. Who? Alright, so we got rid of the moment of silence. Oh, what? He just confronted all the bishops. We were expecting to just see Nico, or I was expecting to just see him in an empty tower calling out Nico because Nico's not there, but all the bishops are there. Maybe not Nico. I'm guessing Nico's not there. But the other ones are.
Point of no return.
What?
Top of the tower. Show yourself, I yell louder, even though I'm past the point of no return.
Oh my goodness.
So few. So proud. So emotional. Hello, Clancy.
Please don't end. Oh. Oh man. I didn't want that as the ending. So, I mean, I guess that kind of concludes it. I really don't think that's the end to all this. I don't know what more is to come. I don't know if it's going to be like a short film, a full-fledged movie, or another song or what. But I don't think they would leave it on that type of cliffhanger. To me, the cliffhanger we got in the album made more sense. And I know you could argue that it's the same exact cliffhanger, but to me it's not. I already detailed why I felt like that cliffhanger in the album felt like it wasn't all that much of a cliffhanger, but here we literally have a buildup of sound that gets cut short. So to me it feels like it does lead to something else. What is that something else? I don't know. I really don't, but I am looking forward to it. I was hoping that this music video would provide me with answers to certain questions, but it actually just gave me more questions as opposed to any answers, really. Like, what was that power he used? Up until this music video, we only saw him use the antlers to seize people. He did that motion that he did in this music video when he seized the bishop to knock down the neon tube. Here he used that same motion without seizing anyone, but the motion ended up producing some kind of force field that knocked down all the bishops minus Nico, who wasn't in the room. So I do want to know what other powers Clancy has with these antlers, but some additional questions that arise from that sequence are, what happens to those bishops? And where was Nico? You had all these bishops gathered in the tower, raising an army of zombie soldiers to take on the banditos. Where was Nico at that point in time? It's like he didn't even take the banditos seriously. And that just ties in so well with the phrase that was said back on Fairly Local and then repeated here in Paladin Strait, the few, the proud, and the emotional. I'll reiterate what I mentioned in the album reaction. To me, that phrase symbolizes a insecurity in Tyler's mind where, you know, he makes this music in hopes that it'll get through to someone and help them out. In Message Man, he refers to himself as someone who, you know, can get through those dark times and fight off those demons and turn that into music, and in turn have that music be something that other people can use to help them in their own battles and their own struggles. And to me, with Blurry Face and Nico being representative of insecurities, his counter to that is the few, the proud, and the emotional. The message won't get through to these people. There's too few of them, and for the few that there are too proud, so they won't actually be willing to escape that room of darkness. They rather suffer in silence, so you'll never really get that community and that relatedness out of this. So the message, in other words, is going to fall on deaf ears, as per Nico, as per Blurry Face, as per the insecurities. So fast forward all the way to this music video, and we have Nico still undermining the Banditos. It's like he doesn't really feel like they're an actual threat. He doesn't feel like they're significant. I feel like that's why he wasn't with these other bishops and trying to fight off the Banditos. It feels like he was underestimating them. But what does that mean moving forward? We saw the zombies falling once Clancy knocked down the bishops, so the Banditos are free right now. And then we have Nico choking Clancy while saying so few, so proud, so emotional. But Clancy opens his eyes when Nico says, "Hello, Clancy." What does that signify, and where does the story go from here? To me, it kind of feels like the Banditos might show up to this tower and support Clancy. The themes of support have been running strong for a long time in 21 Pilots music, and this is the perfect opportunity to depict the power of that visually, and it combats the intended use of the label few, proud, and the emotional, right? Like, if that's meant to undermine this group of people, them showing up to help Clancy in his battle with Nico, you know, it really does show their power. It shows that they're not a group to be taken lightly. But alternatively, maybe this battle isn't really meant for the Banditos to get involved in. Maybe this is personal for Clancy. In any case, I don't feel like Nico is meant to be defeated in the sense that he's supposed to no longer be a part of Tyler's mind. I mean, if Blurry Face and Nico are meant to represent fears, the fear's intention is not necessarily to hurt you, right? So Nico is not going to be destroying Clancy by any means here. If Nico does win this battle, it doesn't mean that Clancy is done for. Ultimately, fear is trying to protect you. It's just that it's by any means necessary. So, you know, you let it do so, and it might end up controlling you at some point, which is represented really well in this story, right? That's what the bishops are trying to do. They're trying to control the people outside of Dima and bring them into Dima and reinforce their structure and their influence. You let the fear in and you let it control certain things, and that just spreads through other parts of you. Now, the whole seizing thing makes it really interesting, because what does that really represent? I don't know. At this point, my interpretation of it is that, you know, this story is taking place in his mind. It's a world he's created in his mind to feel some control. Thus, these Banditos, they're a representation of, you know, the fans and his support system. So they're not actual people. So all these people that have lost their battle and are now capable of being seized and controlled by the bishops, they too are a representation of people without being actual people. And as far as I could tell, there's definitely been different instances of Tyler writing about wanting to distance himself from something he did or a version of himself from the past. Like, I think in Clancy, Next Semester sets up that theme rather well, where he's remembering a version of himself from the past, and he's almost scared that he could backslide into those old habits and turn into that person once more. And there's things he's done that makes him feel that he's not worthy of forgiveness. That's a theme that was explored throughout the album. And with Vignette, it's like he's trying to avoid being characterized as that person, right? He's trying to avoid that being what he's judged upon. So I think these people who have fallen within Dima are parts of Tyler that he was convinced that he needed to let go of. With Oldie Station, we came to find that he is more accepting of those past mistakes and those past versions of himself. He's come to terms with all that. And the reason for it is that he's learned from those mistakes and he's learned from those versions of himself. He gained experience through all that and he's adapted along the way. And that's what turned the cycle into a spiral that he's traveling upwards on. Killing off those past versions of himself actually leads to him not learning and not giving himself the opportunity to grow. In turn, it gives the fear something that it can utilize against him. And that's how seizing becomes detrimental. The more parts of himself and the more things he leaves behind, the more fear has things to use against him. And thus it makes sense that fear would also try and get people to self-destruct, because the more people self-destruct within this world, the more influence they have. But yeah, that's my take on the story at this point. It's definitely not set in stone, so if there is a follow-up to this music video, it could change. But I just thought I'd give you insight on where I'm at with the story. As far as, what comes next in the story, who knows? I'm very much looking forward to it. There might be details about it already online. I'm reacting to this about 3 hours after the music video was actually released. I've been avoiding all forms of social media for the past few hours. I haven't checked my personal emails. I've just stayed away from everything so that nothing would get spoiled. Like I said, I was kind of expecting this music video to kind of end the story. Not so sure that's what we got here. But let me know what you thought. I'm definitely curious. Can't wait to see what happens. But that does it for this video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. I truly appreciate it. And I will see you all next time. Have a great day, y'all.